Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forge Delights Forever promotional series. I took a little bit of a break there, guys. Sorry about that. That must have seemed like the world's longest sabbatical. But of course, as you well know, there are only so many glasses of mulled wine that one man can sip from, chocolate rainbows that one man can slide down, or indeed angels' behinds that one man can fondle before, of course, it all gets very samey and we have to return to this pesky little thing called real life. But pity not me, because my life is Sopcom and it is a wonderful life. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Lots of things to be looking forward to in 2014. We have the return of Luzun from the Far East, and with him he'll be bringing the Imber Cup 3, and I shall be covering that tournament, if not in its entirety, then certainly in highlight form. Very excited about that. We also have the resumption of work, of course, on Galactic Wars. Zep, I believe, threw up the beta once again over the Christmas period for people to enjoy. So, like I say, lots of things to be excited about. I thought we'd kick off the action in 2014 with some pro-level ladder action featuring some of your favorite players. It's all going to go down on Summer Duel, so without any further ado, let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Going first over in the left-hand edge of the screen, in the blue corner, it's none other than the quintessential Voodoo, who's misclicked and gone Cybran. Joke, I believe he actually goes random these days, variety being the spice of life for this man. No one, of course, actually picks Cybran on purpose. It's always a misclick, just throwing that out there so you can understand why I'd be making that mistake. But anyway, he's going first land, and his opponent over here in the east, in the red corner, it's RA's Immorally. I've covered this guy a couple of times before, and I can't for the life of me remember if that's actually a pro by another name, making my life difficult as they like to do by changing it. Perhaps one of you clever FAF can throw an answer to that in the comments below this video and let us know if that's someone like Deathly or Black Death or some other pro that just likes to be difficult and change his name. But anyway, nonetheless, those are our two guys. And Immorally's actually gone first land, second air. Voodoo, contrastingly, has gone triple land factory, the opening for this one. Both of these guys' opening build orders consisted of 3 engineers off the bat. Voodoo then went Mantis Mole, and we went double Selen and then Tham for Immorally. So slightly contrasting openings there, but not too dissimilar. We've got the early engineers expanding at the same kind of rate. Voodoo's going mass land spam right off the bat. That's 5 factories queued up for him. Interestingly, Immorally not plonking that down next to the Hydro, getting the adjacency bonus on that. He is getting the adjacency bonus from one of the T1 P-Gens. We sometimes ask me, why are they putting P-Gens next to the mechs? Well, of course, that will take the edge off that mech's upgrade on power when he does decide to take that to T2. But I'm guessing Immorally probably doesn't want to put that air factory at any unnecessary risk on a map where there's such a small distance between your players. It can be difficult to hold on to that Hydro, but in comes the first bomber, manages to pick off a mole from Immorally. He's hammering the S key to slow it up, but he doesn't get a solution on an engineer. He's going to have to come in for a second pass. Sky Slammer's already emerging from Voodoo's factory, so he's ready for it. That second pass coming in. He is going for an engineer. That one's on a coffee break. Shouldn't have stood there, and he has paid the eternal price. Sky Slammer's pursuing that bomber as it makes his pass. Just gets on out of there. 18 hit points left on that chap. But he is going to get at least one other pass on Voodoo's units. Going now for the most northerly mole. That will eradicate all of the intel covering the northern pass there for Voodoo. And if Immorally's smart, he could go to check out the top left corner, see if there's an engineer there, and he gets a bomb off and manages to grab the kill. That should be it due to the proximity of that Sky Slammer. But 2 engineers and 2 moles. That bomber definitely paying for itself. Nice work there from Immorally. Voodoo moving out with his ACU down the middle. Looks like we've got a little bit of a confrontation brewing on the ground. Nice split there from Voodoo, avoiding the bomb. One Mantis got a little bit of cooking there, down to around 20 hit points, but stays alive. Bomber coming in for another pass. Doesn't manage to get the bomb off, though. And now we're getting towards some base Sky Slammers over on Voodoo's side of the map. Again, the bomber doesn't manage to get a bomb off, just can't get the angle right. Second bomber coming in over the top. Will be wanting to take that Sky Slammer out of commission and manages it. Two more, three more in fact, coming in though from the north. And that will deal with at least one of the bombers. But definitely this heavy bomber play been working nicely for Amorally, who's now pushing down the center with a ton of FAMs and his ACU. And Voodoo has gone early T2. He has got one hoplite on the field, but that's left him very thin in terms of unit numeracy. That's not what you want. I'm wondering if those bombers scouted that, and that's what's provoked this early push straight down the middle from Amorally, looking to cripple Voodoo's base if at all possible. That Hydro would be a high priority target if Amorally could take it out. How's Voodoo doing on power? Not too badly. Definitely wouldn't want to lose it. Voodoo's ACU hanging about in the middle. He can definitely cut off Amorally's comm from any more reinforcing troops. And he's also trying a little bit of a counterattack through the southern pass. Amorally's going to pull back to defend. A couple of Sky Slammers still in that mix. Three, in fact, so Bomber's not going to have free reign on the defense. Amorally could pick off the Hydro here. He's going to continue to back up, though. I think he could do is sticking around. He is a little bit concerned, I guess, about the building or build-up of units down here. And Voodoo actually throwing an upgrade on his comm. Let's take a look at what we are looking at here. I think that's probably gun upgrade going on his comm there. Should give him nice control in the center. Amorally backing up. He did manage to take that Hydro down to around 652 HP. That's down around 40 odd percent of its hit points. Next attack, that's definitely going to be what he'll want to take out. Voodoo will not have a lot of power to play with if that does go south. Amorally counter pushing through the southern pass. Needs to be careful though. Hoplites down here, or a hoplite, as well as decent numbers of Mantis. Also pushing through the northern pass as well. This is good spam coming out from Amorally's side of the map, and you can see why. 21 to 11 in terms of mass in favor of Amorally. Down goes the Hydro, and that leaves Voodoo at +8 net power with current build orders. Not a lot of room to maneuver now for Voodoo. Did he manage to complete that gun upgrade? Yes, he did. You can see the rate of fire significantly increasing there on Voodoo's comm. He's now going to work his way through these ground units as best he can. Amorally backing up towards his reinforcements with his comm while pushing in the south at the same time. Hoplite's going to be able to chew those up without any real difficulty. But look at all of the vacant mass points on Voodoo's side of the map, who's having significant mass issues. Eco in a bad way, down to just 20 power. Voodoo finds himself well and truly crippled. This has been great work from Amorally, who has just put himself absolutely everywhere that Voodoo hasn't been in terms of troops. Every time Voodoo moves to counter, Amorally comes in from another direction. Bomber flying overhead, gets a bomb away onto that Mex. Doesn't get another pass. All of these factories now pausing production. Voodoo not wasting any more resources on it, and instead he's going to march on Amorally's base with his comm. Remember, of course, that comm, it hasn't got overcharged, but it's got that upgraded gun. So the best Voodoo can hope for is some kind of base trade. Morley's commander's over here and not doing anything at the moment. That's a little bit of wasted firepower on the map at the moment. Morley trying to bring in his T1 forces in behind those hoplites and thin out this group of units. If he can kill this group of units off, it's going to be over very soon indeed. In fact, that's a lot of units now piling on the pressure on Voodoo's comm, who's down to around 6,000 hit points and falling. Voodoo needs to micro his comm a little bit better. He's about to go down into the red, perhaps. Lots of Zooies. He needs to avoid the fire from down below 1,500 hit points, below 1,000. He's got at least some backup from his own forces now, and a nice rank of veterancy there takes the pressure off just a little bit. A couple of bombers coming in as well to just turn up the pressure. And of course, the presence of that banger dealing with those bombers with relative ease, but I'd be very surprised if Voodoo manages to deal with this base with what he's got. Yes, he's got 5 hoplites and a mantis and an upgraded comm, but still, look at the state of that commander. Well into the red, and Morley not deciding to put his comm in harm's way. Looks like he's just going to go ahead and expand on Voodoo's side of the map. Voodoo with absolutely no option but to be aggressive at this point. Back up into the yellow at least. 2 stars on that commander. That banger still alive. 13 kills on him so far. So neutralizing any air power coming his way. Voodoo still has to be so careful though. That's a lot of FAMs and a lot of Zooies. And not a lot of hit points on his commander. This is great work by Voodoo, staying alive. But of course, the longer this goes on, the more established Morley becomes over on his side of the map. There's a lot of mass to reclaim in there. We have got a T1 PD a little bit further back. But another factory bites the dust from Morley. Rather, another one of Morley's factories bites the dust. Voodoo back up to nearly 6,000 hit points now. Looking considerably more healthy. Really notice the regen on that Cybran commander in situations like this. And now Voodoo prioritizing the Hydro. What does that do to Morley's eco? That bottlenecks his power. And immediately Morley ceases production of bombers. Most power intensive thing he was building at that time, I believe. Still, the base continues to flourish over in the west, and if Voodoo is going to make this base trade work, he is rapidly running out of time. But Morley thinking about bringing in his commander. Does he have overcharge? No, he doesn't, so he can't just come in and start swatting those hoplites, and he's backed up. He needs to be really careful. Someone might be thinking, why doesn't he come in and just help pile on the pressure? Well, that might have been an option a little bit earlier on, but doesn't want to lose so many hit points that Voodoo could potentially grab a tie. Remember, Voodoo has got the gun upgrade. Morley, by contrast, doesn't have any upgrades on his commander at all. So wisely not deciding to get involved in that fight. Voodoo looks like he might be successful in evicting Morley from this side of the map, but the problem is, look how far behind he is on the trade. Morley already has 3 land factories up and running and a pretty healthy power grid building as we speak. And of course, all this time as well, 29 mass 2-1 in favor of Morley. Voodoo begins work on his factory, but I would be very surprised if he manages to pull this off. This would be the comeback of the century. Hoplites meandering around what structures are left from Amorally, picking off units that have been left. Amorally just continuing to build the odd Zui now and again. Perhaps wants to leave one behind enemy lines to assist with mechs harassment if the game goes that far, but already 3 P-Gens online, soon to be a 4th. That factory that's about to go up represents the last piece of industry on this side of the map for Amorally, and thus completes the base trade. Amorally going for an upgrade on his comm has paused it, at least for the moment. And mass land spam on the way once again from our Seraphim player. There's a lot of mass to be had in terms of reclaim. Amorally so far has only picked up around 2,300 from this base. Yes, there's a lot more around here, but I think there's a lot more on the ground. Voodoo is already surpassing him, 2,500, when that's not even going near any of these factories yet. So Voodoo knocked down and out. It's a long way back from him, for sure. Amorally already with a pretty sizable army. Looks like those units sent to guard the southern pass, at least for the moment. Amorally certainly isn't going to want to allow Voodoo any time to get himself re-established. He's going to want to attack, and attack soon. Amorally moving back up the middle, now looking like he's sporting the gun. Yeah, don't even need to go and check. There it is, high rate of fire. Voodoo establishing some PD up at the front there. He's got to be expecting an attack soon. You can take a look at what Voodoo can actually see. Not a great deal. He's only got the radar on the comm there. That's it. No other intel at the moment. But you've got to be expecting that your opponent is, with this much time that he's had, is going to be moving around these edges, trying to find a way into your base. Just not sure what you do at this point if you are Voodoo. He's going to want to burrow in and turtle up. He can't afford to be aggressive. He's too far behind. No joy there for that forward engineer as it tries to find a little bit more mass towards the opponent's base. And Amorally at full whack on that ACU when he's got a full tank of HP. It's at 12,650. Voodoo at 14,000. Surpassing him, of course, because of the amount of units he's killed on the field. That commander now sporting 4 stars. So he has one more rank of veterancy to attain. One more chunk of HP to return. Another PD going up a little bit further back, so staggered formation for these units of point defense. Amorally going to press. I don't know if that second one's going to get online. It comes down to whether Amorally sees it in time. It is going to go online. Unfortunately, the wall section's on the template, though, stemming from the right. Amorally wants to get in there and finish it off before it gets protected. He has got a lot of Zuis in the mix, though, to be fair, so it's not a great problem. Voodoo down to around 9,800 hit points on the comm. Amorally down to around 8,000. Amorally's going to want to make sure his ACU is nowhere near Voodoo's when it blows. He could still end up in a tie, but look at Amorally's forces just bulldozing their way through Voodoo's base. There just wasn't enough time for Voodoo to get established, to develop. And Voodoo now finds himself overrun, and surely that's going to be game. As he meanders his way south, there's the final rank of veterancy. 50 hit points a second returning. The question is it enough? got Elshivers on the field as well now, so Amorally has used the time to make the transition to T2, and rather than throw everything at the commander, Amorally is going to scatter and make sure Voodoo isn't taking this opportunity to get set up anywhere else. A wise decision as far as I'm concerned. Zui's fire a volley at that PD. It's going to be able to nullify that. One cheeky factory placed up here at the top. Question is, how far will Amorally push? It's the sort of time when air factories come into play very nicely indeed for a little bit of scouting. Amorally hasn't gone that way. I don't really think he needs it though. Elshivers discovering the base up top, primarying the hoplites. 2 engineers down, and there goes the factory, and I think that represents the end of the game. Voodoo's demise. Amorally says nice try in chat. Voodoo, knowing the game is up, is going to press on. And take down as many Seraphim bots as he can. I think Amorally could afford to swamp him now. There goes the kill command. Elshivers and Zui's marching down the hill. Voodoo doing as best he can to avoid that Zui fire. But in comes Amorally from behind, firing in overcharges for good measure into the renamed ACU Rambo, but it's not enough. Boom, baby. Nicely played from Amorally. Had the better of Voodoo in that game, almost right from the outset, but still Voodoo in classic style draws it out to a decent 25 minutes. Well played, everybody, on that one. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. As always, more to come from me in the future. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle, signing out.